Hey guys, XMeric here, and today we've got a new ban list, I think. I just got this notification, and I'm here sitting in my car about to react to it. So yesterday he posted some emojis on Twitter. People were kind of thinking, oh, is the ban list coming out soon? I think a ban list is probably too soon, but I understand the reasoning for it. That past tournament was just kind of a blowout from Thunder and Earth. So I completely understand it. I think it's a little soon, especially with Moonrise coming out, but he's excited to shake things up. So let's see what gets shaken up here. I saw the thumbnail had Elechik and Equalinks in it, so I am happy about those, but let's see if those are limits, spans, and let's see what else they got. So take it away, Dan.
We just set a huge record, and I'm about to change everything. In case you were sleeping under a Tourette list, we just had the craziest ELESTRALS tournament in our history, with 114 casters throwing down. Our top 8 was filled with incredible talent, and ultimately, Sunsea Jess took the win with an amazing Earth Nexus deck that combined the power of Thunder and Water to keep opponents on the back foot the entire time. The clashes were amazing to watch.
Shout out to Jess
the whole
and
event with full
Trishula.
commentary. Shoutouts to Swolax and Caleb for throwing down on the mic.
My boy Caleb.
In its entirety with the link in the description below, and we'll be uploading every single clash over the next few weeks here on the channel. What's crazy is our next event on December 14th is about to be even bigger.
Okay.
We decided
I know they
to upgrade
mentioned
our
that.
prizing to include a stamped Stellar Galaxy promo just for signing up. Not to mention 2 free packs and free shipping. The prizes get even more
I'm excited for this
once you hit top
prizing
16
to come in
with a
for
stamped
participation.
Mount Olympus, a stamped Toxion, a stamped Arcolith, and ultimately the reverse stellar 1-of-1 champion stamped Draking.
Okay, so that must be what's the first
This is going to be our craziest event yet, and we actually almost filled all of the
set
slots
of emojis
last
worth.
time, so don't miss out. Now let's talk about the metagame. A few months ago, we released our first limited list, which included Lavalith, Earthquake, and Resting Under Laurels going to 1 copy each. This adjustment to the game was to allow Divine decks to flourish and enable 2 and 3 Spirit ELESTRALs to have a chance against the plethora of removal options. Overall, I believe this was a huge success, as we've seen a ton of amazing decks come to the forefront, with exciting plays highlighting cards like Argo, Arcolith, Waylands, and many more. Even with this diversity,
that first tournament,
in the current state of ELESTRALs, there are 2 elements that stand above the rest, Earth and Thunder, and they've done so for quite a long time. Both of these elements feature a consistency and power level that other decks struggle to keep up with, and that, in conjunction with a limited card pool, since we're only 3 sets into the game, has resulted in a metagame that strongly favors 2 particular deck types. I have a vision for ELESTRALs, and my intention is to make the best and most fun trading card game in the entire world. I believe ELESTRALs is at its best when players can explore any of our 8 elements and find success. And I'm going to be implementing some significant changes to the game to allow for this to be the case in both the short and the long term. Before I do that, I want to emphasize a few key points. Changes to the game are never permanent. It's always possible we reevaluate.
People were concerned for some reason they were going to be permanent. I don't know why.
As new cards enter the card pool, new possibilities exist. I fully expect a few of the limited cards today to come off the list in the future based on our internal testing. I definitely understand the importance of letting a metagame develop, and my intention is not to just hit the strongest deck just because. Earth and Thunder have been the strongest deck since ELESTRALs released with base decks, and I believe that with our current 4-month release cycle for
I think it's a little soon. I understand that
to 3 sets per year,
they've been good
since a really good opportunity for us to look at tweaks to the game
like
in
before the Kickstarter.
For example, we're releasing a limited list right now. Moonrise becomes legal on February 1st, effectively shaking up the metagame. And if we're looking to make another adjustment to the metagame, it would come around April 1st. This doesn't mean we'll definitely do a list, and it doesn't mean we won't address something egregious. It's just meant to serve as a general time frame to ensure the metagame can remain fresh and exciting for players. One of the biggest complaints I hear from players about other games is how they don't communicate. So I'm doing my best to change that and be an open book about the decisions.
Dan has always been
a
god
that
at
not
communication.
everyone will agree with our decisions, but I encourage you to join in.
Sometimes he releases things a little preemptively, but
the best game possible. I'm really excited.
He's always good at communicating when something's wrong. wrong.
even more life into ELESTRALS for the remainder of our Daybreak metagame, and also for the arrival of Moonrise and the amazing possibilities that are coming with the Lunar Elements full arsenal. Alright, I made you wait long enough, let's dive into the changes. The first card we'll be adding to the limited list is ELESTRALS.
Okay, so ELESTRALS limited. Okay, that's what I was kind of hoping.
At an insane frequency, and combined with the stat-boosting powers of Demeter, has become overwhelming for many decks to compete with. I do believe that ELESTRALS is a card that, even at one copy, has a place in ELESTRALS, especially when combined with the in-element searcher, Rummagem. But I think the other elements need some time to catch up to ELESTRALS' raw power. Next up, we're limiting ELESTRALS to one copy. During our last limit, I emphasized that I want to allow more divine usage, so putting ELESTRALS here may seem a bit strange. I want to be upfront and say that future design space will focus around cards like Banlist that search for one specific divine, rather than a generic searcher.
I can play with that, you know, I can build something around that.
But in the short term, it also helps curb the power level of Zeus and Demeter, combined with ELESTRALS' frequent search. This effectively makes ELESTRALS a 7 attacker in those situations, and it's very difficult to combat. The more defensive option, Plucky, the Solar ELESTRAL, still remains for those decks that really need to access their divines quickly. This next card has become one of my favorite cards in the game, but I believe, much like its fellow Lith counterpart Lavalith, Arcolith has become a little too game warping at the current time. Casters are forced to play a very specific way to even have a chance against Arcolith, and it becomes so splashable in other decks that it creates a really volatile game experience. With Moonrise releasing the new rune, No Stone Unturned, it makes the lists all searchable. So I believe limiting Arcolith to 1 makes a lot of sense, as those consistency tools will be introduced in Moonrise to allow you to search for that one card and then have it be a part of your strategy. Continuing our limited list is Race to the Top. Race to the Top is a really fun card that allows Thunder to excel even further by being a premier removal card and a deck that runs in-element search for their stadium.
That's fine, I'll just play Karabas.
I showed in our last limited list that I wanted to bring the amount of removal in the game down, and we're continuing that trend with Race to the Top. Magnaros in Moonrise, alongside the consistency of Astrabbit, will make Race to the Top a viable option even at just 1 copy. And last but not least on our limited list is a card that is definitely going to surprise you. None other than Farrageist. Farrageist at the time sees virtually no competitive play, but it looks to be one of the
I saw people talking about this. I hate pre-hits like this.
Lunar is unveiled. Now listen, I'm personally not a huge fan of limiting cards before they perform at events, but I do believe this is a special exception. With us limiting a lot of the removal options, like resting on your...
I've had some friends say that, who are like, in some of the later set testing groups, that it's just, it can kind of become a problem, and I understand that. I'm not a big fan of it. I wouldn't do that if it were me, but I understand it.
For Laurels and Earthquake, the opportunity to counter a card like Farrageist is drastically reduced. Farrageist, in conjunction with the new counter rune Full Moon, becomes a very easy card to ascend into that can often result in a lost game state for an opponent almost instantly when it hits the field. By limiting Farrageist to 1 copy, it encourages the Lunar build to include Comalis and Nexus, giving the opponent more opportunity to prepare counterplay. Now before I get to my final announcement on these changes, I want to introduce a brand new semi-limited list for ELESTRALS that will limit cards to 2 copies per deck.
NBC is not going to be happy about that.
And like I've mentioned in the rest of this video, I do think this card comes off the list in the future once more cards get added to the card pool. That card is none other than Viscerus. Viscerus being semi-limited to 2 is simply a frequency-focused adjustment to encourage players
I understand that. Like you can't limit it because then it isn't playable.
I believe Viscerus will still be a very strong contender across many decks. This change just makes it so you only can use its effect once.
If anything was going to go semi-limited, it'd be Viscerus.
I told you guys we're going to shake things up. A massive change to the competitive landscape for ELESTRALS, with ELESTRALS, ELESTRALS, Arcolith, Race to the Top all being limited to 1 copy, and Viscerus being added to a semi-limited list.
Even you forgot Farrageist there.
And I want to let you guys know that these changes don't just come out of nowhere. My team has spent the last few weeks testing these limits, and we found that both Earth and Thunder are still very strong, even with them. In a lot of cases, these decks would swap around a few cards for the next best options, like Galaxy, or Eddie, or Rummagem, and they keep on dominating. I really do believe
good stuff is still going to be like the best. It's just going to be like Earth good stuff, Thunder good stuff.
But for now,
or some other
adjustments lead to a more diverse metagame.
Other lists, like Wind Thunder may be a little bit better,
we will also be temporarily
so
limiting Zeus and
limit is
Demeter
hurt.
to 1 copy each until February 1st, when Moonrise becomes legal. This means that the entire limited list will go live for December 14th and our next webcam tournament, and it will also limit Zeus and Demeter to 1 copy. However, Zeus and Demeter will be removed from the limited list on February 1st to create a new metagame with the welcomed addition of the full suite of the Lunar Pantheon in Moonrise. I don't know if any other card game has ever done anything quite like this, announcing limited cards to change the metagame and shake it up, but telling you when it's going to come back, so that way you have an opportunity to build those decks again with new cards.
Okay, so Zeus and Demeter are limited for...
Listen, I know this is a lot
the
to take
end
in,
of
change can be
this
difficult.
format.
It can feel uncomfortable and uncertain, but that's where the real growth and excitement happens, and I'm very optimistic that these changes will breathe even more life into our incredible game ELESTRALS, and it's going to make these next few months so much more exciting as we head towards our World Championship. Thank you as always for your time, and I look forward to the constructive feedback and discussions that are going to come
definitely
from
going to make it out there,
and I'm
wherever
also
it
really
is.
looking forward to our next webcam tournament on December 14th, where all of these changes are going to be taking into effect. We are now limiting Equilinks, Elechick, Arcolith, and Race to the Top to 1 copy, alongside a temporary 1 limit to Zeus and Demeter, and Viscerus is semi-limited to 2.
I can mess around with this.
Up, and I cannot wait to see what you guys bring to the table. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, so looks like Dan there made a good decision. I think it's kind of hard because I personally don't like having a limit list so soon, but I understand kind of where the headspace is at, and I think it's not a bad decision. I think it's going to be healthy for the game, especially when the top 16 decks were all basically just running like Earth, Thunder, kind of water packages, just kind of splashed all together, and it just kind of made a very bland format. Not unfun, but just kind of stale, especially because those decks have been good since at least the beginning of the year, probably last year as well. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Alpha is coming out the end of this week, which I will be playing. I don't know if I'll be streaming it, but I may stream it. I don't know. I'm going to be making a ton of videos on it, so keep an eye out for it. And thank you.